Hi, so now we're going to go deeper in the actual step-by-step of how to make protective underwear from a t-shirt. So everything I have, I'm going to just show the process. I'm not going to sew in this video, but I'm showing you step-by-step. And I encourage you as facilitators, before you get busy with everyone cutting and trying to sew, if you tell the story slowly and calmly, step by step, and showing the sample of that step so everyone is with you on the same story, when you then actually start sewing, everyone has a much better idea of what to do. So the very first thing that we need is a t-shirt, obviously. Now, we know a t-shirt has a front and a back. Depending on my purposes, maybe I am going to cut the t-shirt. If it's big enough, I might be able to fit both pieces on the front. Sometimes it doesn't quite fit, so I have to think about the front and the back of the t-shirt. If it fits and I can cut this, that means I get 2 pieces of underwear. Look at all this extra space. I could get other things. If I was making a basic, I could fit a basic in here. From our sample from the middle, I'm going to need a t-shirt topper. So I need to somehow fit this in. Right now, it doesn't look like I can fit everything. Maybe if by me sliding it over, I can fit the front, the back, and the top. And so from here, from one t-shirt, I'm getting 2 pairs of underwear. And I still have extra. There's other things that I can do. I can make an extra piece for basic. There's something very magical about the sleeves that I want to show you next. So before I start cutting, I like to play and just kind of map out, maybe how can I do this? Maybe I'm not making underwear at all. Maybe I'm making more and more of these pieces, and I'm using one t-shirt to have all of the inside parts, and I'm using another t-shirt for front and back. You just have to plan, you have to look at the t-shirt and see, what am I going to do with it? After I do planning, I like to cut the sides all the way up, all the way through the seam, and I like to cut this side. And what happens when I cut it, I get a lot of fabric. Look at how much, it's almost covering my table. One t-shirt of fabric. So after it's cut just on the sides, just carefully up, look at the short sleeve, how much extra fabric I get. Here, I'll move it even more to the center. There is so much fabric on this one t-shirt. So I can even do more planning. I can probably fit lots of different pieces depending on how it fits. Okay? By carefully cutting the seam, the sleeve, sometimes there is a large fabric. Let's see what could fit inside. If I do this right, I could get a whole of the middle gusset. Or maybe there's this. In another video, we'll teach you how you can make a really cute carry bag from the cuffs. But I'll leave that for another video. So, how do I actually trace this? There's a couple of things that I need to remember. If I'm using a nice table like this, if I use a marker and draw on here, the marker is going to go all the way through and make marks on my table. So a lot of times that's not going to be very appreciated. So there's a couple of ways that I could make a protective cover for the table. I could take one of the folders and cut it down the sides. Now I have a really big plastic folder that's going to protect my table so that when I'm marking, I don't go onto the table. Another way, so if I have my piece that I want to do, I don't have to do heavy marker draws. All I have to do is just dot around it. And that will allow me to see, and then I can carefully cut. Here's a tip. If you have a marker and you've dotted it, here, just zoom in on this pair of underwear that I've cut. Come in closer. When I'm cutting, so you can see the dots that I made on this t-shirt. Okay, here's the back. So you can see I easily could see the shape by just dotting it. Now, when I'm cutting, I like to cut just inside the dots. On purpose for this video, I cut outside so I could show you, because when I cut inside, my underwear will be clean with no marks. And so when I'm sewing it, it will look like the store. So after you mark, make sure you cut the black marks won't be seen. So now I have cut both my front and my back. I'm just using, you can see it on the white t-shirt, so you can imagine that I've cut it. Okay. I could cut it in the middle, but I am going to want to save the space. So I'm going to try to use my t-shirt as best I can so I can fit in other pieces. If I don't have a plastic folder, the other way I can reproduce patterns is by just placing another pre-cut on top of a t-shirt. Then I don't even have to mark. I could carefully cut around this green one and it would cut my white one. So I have cut my front and my back. I have cut my top that's going to go on the inside there. So now you can see I'm gathering my pieces from my t-shirt. What do I do now that I have my pieces? I am making a protective pair of underwear. If I can do protective, then I easily can make the basic. So I'm showing you the harder style. So the very first thing is getting all of my pieces together. I have my front, I have my back, I have my top, and I have my protective piece. This could be either a towel or it could be the mattress protector that we have shown before. Both of them have advantages and disadvantages. Using a mattress protector makes it leak-proof. Using a towel, it doesn't cost me money. I can reuse, upcycle a towel I might have. It's more breathable, but I have to change more often. Both of them are great options. You have to choose what you want. So I'm going to select the waterproof fabric one. I remember a story. Good to good. So good marries good. Good kisses good. However you want to remember it. This is my good side. If you zoom in on this, you can see that there's a bad side to the fabric, and just coming closer, and a good side. So you'll have to look carefully, but you can see what is the outside face that's going to be showing on the outside when I'm completed. Whatever that is, that's called the good side. And so I want good to good. So I am putting good to good. Here's my good is up. My good on my back is down. And I am going to stitch just the center piece together. Again, from this side, there is some triangles that can help me, and I'm going to sew a centimeter right there. When I open it, now I'll have my good side, good to good. This is what it will look like. Beautiful. This is now ready for my protective. So I'm going to put this aside for a moment, but you can see I have sewn my front and my back. This is what it looks like. This is the good side facing up. Now I have my waterproof protector and the cotton top, because I don't want this against my skin. So we're going to have the good side to the plastic side on this. Okay. And I'm gonna go, I'll use this example so you can see it. Here is the yellow is the waterproof, and the blue is the cotton. You can see that the yellow is smaller. And what I need to do is bring the waterproof all the way to the top. And I basically want it even. I want 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter. You can see here with it being on the top, I'm going to sew right along the edge. I don't want it deep, I want it on the edge. And now you're gonna see, well, there's a lot of fabric on this side. No worries, I'm gonna just pull the waterproof to that edge, and I'm going to sew it there. And you'll see that the bottom cotton one is bigger. It will droop. No problem. I want that. So I'm sewing edge, but it's centered on both sides, and then I'm sewing edge on that. Here is the outcome. So I've sewed edge, and you can see that the cotton is a little bit more drooping. The next part is I'm going to flip it inside out. Now I have the beautiful good side, and even if I hand sewed it, I have a nice seam here that looks finished, it looks clean, and I'm ready for my next step. My next step is, this is still loose, and I want it to be nice and smooth. So I'm going to flip it over, and I am going to sew right along the edge. Not deep, just right along the edge. This is going to be the outcome. Now I have my beautiful seam, and it's not going to move at all because I've sewn it right on the edge. I have gone from turning it inside out so that the good fabric is outside now, and then I secure it. Now it is ready, almost ready, to go onto my t-shirt. there is an extra step that I want to do. I want to sew on bands. And these security bands they could be made out of satin. They could also be made out of the edge of the t-shirt. See this hem on the t-shirt? I could cut this and using a stick or a pen, I can turn it inside out and it will give me free bands that I can use to sew it down. And what I want to do is just come in close. This is going to be so that I could put a sanitary pad easily in here and change it out often. So there's a couple of measurements that I want. I want about 2 fingers up top and about 3 fingers back here. So you can see that the spacing of where I would put the band is about 2 fingers and about 3 fingers. Then I'm going to just reinforce the spot here and reinforce the spot on this one. Because it's so wide, I'm going to do extra little steps here. It basically matches the open spot here so that I can easily fit 4 fingers under both, because that's about the width of my liner. 4 fingers and 4 fingers is a nice place for the loops, and it's about 1 hand between them. 2 fingers, 1 hand, 3 fingers, 4 fingers beneath. Once I have done that on this one, I can then put it again, good side to good side. And so here is my good face, and I have my gusset, and I'm going to place it so that it's center. Now, how do I know it's in the right spot? Well, the patterns mathematically match. And so if I have followed my patterns correctly, this curve is going to guide me. If I have it too far back, this middle part won't look right. You'll see it's not matching. If I have it too far up, the same thing. So I want to position this so that the curves match. Once I have that, and this is again, good side and good side, I'm going to just sew right, see I have this extra centimeter. I don't want to sew off the edge. I don't want to sew into the waterproof. I want to sew right in the middle of this extra gap. I'm going to start on this side and I'm going to sew to there. And then I'm going to go to the other side and sew all the way to there. Here is the outcome. Okay. I have this example is showing the towel, this one is showing the waterproof, but you can see that I have sewn just there. That's my bad side, this is my good side. Now I get to turn it inside out. So this is the outcome. There's my good side, the outside. It looks beautiful. It looks finished right here in the leg. And now on the inside, is my waterproof. That is where it needs to be, in the middle. I have my bands already connected. And what I like to do is sew this down and sew this down. I didn't do it in this example so you could see me turn it inside out, but you can see here, I've sewn it down so it stays nice and flat on both sides. I didn't do it here just so you can see the example, but yes, you could sew it right there. Now that that is done, it's time to attach the sides. So here we go. I'm literally going to put my front up and I'm going to stitch right there and stitch right there. I want about a 1 centimeter width. I don't want it too narrow. See how it's narrow here? That's gonna make it hard for me. My goal is 1 centimeter on the sides. I'm almost done. What I need to do now is I need to create my waist. These underwear were designed to fall and to be worn on the hips. A lot of cultures like to have a very high-waisted underwear. These were designed to not have elastic, and so how they work best is if they are folded over and sit low on the hips. Then it won't require any elastic and it's not going to slide. If anyone has a slight tummy like me, if it's up higher without elastic, it's just going to slip down anyway. If I put elastic, it's more expensive and it's more processes. So you can decide on other designs of underwear, but on this particular pattern, it was designed to fall right on the hips so that it's secure, it's comfortable, and doesn't require elastic. So how do I do the waist? After I have sewn my seam, I'm going to flatten it open. And I want about a thumb width to fold down. So once it is open, I'm going to fold down and it's nice and flat. Now with needle and thread or a sewing machine, I start here and I'm basically capturing all of the seams and the back, sewing it down all the way, make a U-turn and go all the way back up. This is the outcome. So I have sewn down, U-turn back up, and the outcome on the outside is nice and smooth. And when I do it on both sides, I have a beautiful pair of underwear that are comfortable that I have made from a t-shirt. Thank you.